Hello everybody, welcome back for the second movie review of today. This time we'll be discussing District 9. Just finished watching it, you know how we do it. I'll give you my overall impressions and grade after giving you the logistics of the movie. Once I give my grade, if you've not seen the movie and would like to, you'll want to shut off the video because there will be spoiler alerts. We'll be discussing the plot, synopsis, and character development, along with any similar movies or major themes. So this movie was released in District 9, rated R, is released in 2009. It's a sci-fi movie. Thanks for that, Google. But I'd say sci-fi slash crime or violence. This is a pretty gory one. It has an hour and 52-minute runtime. You can watch it now with a Max subscription, which as a brand, I think HBO Max is a lot more recognizable. If you just say Max, I feel like every time you have to say HBO to clarify what you're talking about. But obviously the people in the marketing departments are incompetent. So it says, why to watch? Fantastic, thrilling, and gritty. It says, 30 years ago, aliens arrive on Earth, not to conquer or give aid, but to find refuge from their dying planet. Separated from humans in a South African area called District 9, the aliens are managed by Multinational United, which is unconcerned with the aliens' welfare, but will do anything to master their advanced technology. When a company field agent, Sharlto Copley, contracts a mysterious virus that begins to alter his DNA, there's only one place he can hide, District 9. $30 million budget for production, did $210 million at the box office, directed by Neil Blomkamp. But 88% liked it on Google, 90% liked it on Rotten Tomatoes, and 7.9 out of 10 on IMDb. I'd already seen it, and I definitely enjoyed this one. Again, out of the stuck with the alien theme today, but this one's definitely a lot grittier. I agree with Google says gritty, but I'll also say gory. It's a pretty violent movie. It's pretty, I don't know, the production's pretty aggressive, I would say. It's got an interesting tone to it. I thought the plot moves along really well. I thought the novel idea of the disease that he develops is interesting. So I thought there was a little novelty to the script. I thought the production was well done, and it had some good grit and some violence to it. So I'm going to give overall, I'll give it at the B+ as well, same with Signs that we did earlier. Thoroughly entertaining, and I'd already seen it. Might have been an A- on the first time through. There's a lot of scenes, or just I remember being involved in the script where it was like it's kind of emotional, or like you feel like you're enthralled by the characters. So overall, I recommend this one if you've not seen it. Definitely, again, rated R, more gory than some of the other ones we reviewed about aliens or just sci-fi stuff. So if you have not watched it and liked it, you want to shut off the video now. So the movie opens up, and again, it says 30 years ago. So it's showing like movie was made in 2009, but it's showing like it has like just like video camera script and shows like the dates as like 1980s, I guess. But it takes place in South Africa. And you start out with like a bunch of different type of interview type of scenes. And so you meet the main character, Wikus van der Met. I don't know if that's actually South African or if that's Dutch or if it's the Dutch conquered in South Africa. It's somewhere in that North Central Europe region looking name. So he's got a wife, Tanya, a mom, Sandra, and he's working at this WNU place, or this World National United, or MNU, Multinational United, and you just have a bunch of different scenes where it's like talking about how Wikus got the job, how he's doing, as well as like some premonition that he's that something's going to happen to him in the movie. And so just a bunch of different kind of interview type cut scenes, and then you get to you get the background that this spaceship again came here 30 years ago. It's got this big mothership. They couldn't get into it, so they cut into it, like nothing was coming out of it, nothing really happened for 2 months. So the human beings cut into it and found a bunch of malnourished, they call them prawns, they just look like, walking prawns, like crawdad in the water, kind of like skinny body type of deal. And so a lot of actual aliens in this movie. But they cut into it, found that they were really malnourished, and now they've kind of sequestered them in District 9, hence the title of the movie, in South Africa. And so this MNU place is kind of controlling them, and they're trying to relocate them, about 2.5 million of them, from District 9 to more of like a concentration camp type of area. here they've really just like slums. District 9 is turned into just kind of like a free-for-all zone. You have a big presence in Nigerians. You have Ogse Sanjo, who's kind of like the lead Nigerian, and they do interspecies prostitution, a lot of guns, accumulate guns, and they just kind of reside in District 9. And so you kind of get that overview, but the big kind of plot development right at the beginning is they're trying to relocate all of these aliens. So Wickus just call him Wickus, he gets the job, he's the head of the thing. His boss is his wife's dad, and so there's a quick scene about that, I don't know. And so he's going around serving eviction notices that are kind of like scummy or predatory to get these prawns out of District 9. So he's going around, you meet, there's one main prawn, his name is, they just call him Christopher, I believe. But again, there's not a human character for the acting, it's just a voice actor, and it's like, just sounds, so I don't know how they have a character for him. But they have a main kind of dude, and he's the main kind of prawn. And so they go to a couple different, show a bunch of different scenes of this environment, setting up the universe of the script of the writing. And so they're going to different places, they're arresting some prawns, they're trying to relocate them, they're trying to get their signature. A couple other scenes about it being a ghetto, about people stealing stuff. They have a bunch of, if they find guns or weapons, just anything that's illegal being hoarded by the prawns. And so the prawns also really like to chew on, they like to eat rubber, as well as their big food they like is cat food. And so that's kind of like the commodities of value in District 9, and Wickus is going around trying to figure this stuff, evict these people and relocate them. So Christopher, the main prawn, he's got a son as well as a good friend, and they're going around looking for fuel. So basically any of the alien technology, I swear, whenever I do this, I have to yawn, and I'm 0% tired. I don't know if it's talking or what. But regardless, they have to go around and collect this material from their technology to get back up to this mothership to go home. And so, they've been collecting this material for 20 years. They have this underground base where they're building this ship. They have, it's like a little secret bunker. But they go around doing that stuff. And so the MNU comes to their front door and starts knocking on the door and is like, open up, open up. He's with his friend, and his friend gives some resistance, and his friend Prawn gets executed, and his son hides. And so basically Wickus is like, if you don't sign the eviction form, because Christopher the Prawn is like aware of if you have 24-hour notice, and he's kind of doing it in a predatory way. But he's like, then Wickus is like, well, this is unsafe conditions for your child, so if you don't sign now for the eviction, then I am going to take your kid. And so, kind of a little back and forth there. And then Wickus goes inside to his little hut, and is like looking around, sees all this equipment, finds this chemistry looking set. Again, the actual spaceship's hidden under the dirt, and he opens up the fuel cell and squirts this fuel into his face. And so that's what happens there. And then he goes back outside, and he also kind of has a rough and tumble with one of the prawns, so kind of gets damage on his arm. So his arm gets bandaged up, and they finish their rounds for the day, and him and his crew go, and he's really hungry now. So he goes to get some food, and as he's getting some food and scarfing down his meal, this black goo starts coming out of his nose. And so he goes back home. He's still not too worried yet. He's back at his desk now in another interview type scene, or just a security camera type shooting, just setting. But a couple of his fingernails start to fall off. And so he's kind of concerned about that. And again, the grittiness to all of this I thought was really well done. And so he goes home. He's now starting to feel sick. Then and his wife, Tanya, has a surprise party waiting for him. So there's a bunch of people there all trying to interact with him, and he's like, no, I just need to go to the toilet. I need to get out of here. And so he's trying to maintain good party decor or party manners, entertaining guests. And they're like, it's time to cut cake now. And as he's cutting cake, he just kind of throws up and spits out all this black goo all over the cake. And so his wife takes him to the hospital, and when he's in the hospital, They unwind his bandage from earlier in that day, and since like the whole movie takes place in probably about, I don't know, 72 hours, maybe 4 days. And so they unwind his bandage, and he's now literally growing one of these prawn type like arms. And so big freak out scene from him. Then these MNU people are rushed in there. Now he's completely a guinea pig at this point. And the big motif in underlying thing besides the Christopher and then trying to get this goop to go home is that the human beings are trying to figure out all of the alien technology, all the alien weapons only respond to the prawns. So they're trying to reverse engineer a way to use these weapons. So your typical kind of like underlying motif of governments trying to make big bad weapons, which is very standard, but I just thought this one had a very good gritty character to the tone to the whole movie. And so they tie him down, they have him line up a bunch of weapons, he shoots at a bunch of dead cows, the weapons are responding to his hand. He's the first human being that's, seems like they're doing some kind of like cross speciality. They're trying to maybe not sexually reproduce, but like attach prawn appendages to human beings to see if they would work. And so this is like the first one where it's like naturally integrated, where you can actually fire the weapons. And so they take an actual prawn up there, another spam phone call, but they put a prawn up there to see if the weapon could be fired against their own species. And so kind of interesting to me as to why like in the overview it says they came for refuge. But it's like if they have all these weapons and they're definitely superior to the human beings, it's like, and the human beings are treating them terribly, it's like, why wouldn't they kind of like make a move themselves? And so they don't really address that very much. I thought that was kind of just like kind of like a weaker part. But regardless, he can now fire these guns, and his wife is in the waiting room, and her dad, the dude, his boss, goes out there and tells him, that he's gonna die. There's nothing you can do. He's got septic shock or something, and the black stuff is just blood poisoning. And so the wife is like, he's gone. He's not gonna come back anymore. And they're gonna cut him up now and try to just harvest like this is like the most valuable biological information there is. He's gonna continue to transition into a prawn, and so right now he's the perfect balance of human DNA and alien DNA. And so they're getting ready. Most of these characters are minor, but a couple of these old dudes decide that they're gonna cut him up now. So obviously Wickus is not with that, and so he decides to break out and break free. So he's able to use his alien arm to kind of like bash out of there. I think he just escapes. I don't think he uses any weapons in this escape, but they try to track him down. They're looking for him. He goes into a place to try to get some food. He's trying to cover up his alien arm, looking real rundown. And so his name and face gets posted all over the internet, all over all media outlets. And when he's in there, they kind of stay away. And the way they kind of paint him as what happened is he said he had sexual relations with the prawns too many times, and now he's got this sexually transmitted disease where he's becoming one. So another gritty element to the movie, which I thought was funny, but really add to the grit of the characterization, I thought. And so they go back, and the couple he's running around trying to find refuge, and the only place he can find refuge is back in District 9, where no one's going to look for him. So he goes back there, runs back into Michael, again, the guy that he interrogated, a day or 2 days ago. He's like, I need help, you need to hide me. And so Michael sees the arm changing, and he's like, there's only one thing that could do this, which would be the fuel. And so they've been saving for 20 years for that amount of fuel. And so Wickus and him go back and forth, the black stuff is being held at MNU's headquarters. If we go there, it's a suicide mission. But then Michael's like, if we go there and get it, I can heal you. I can reverse your condition. And so Wickus is always like, yep, let's do that. But they kind of look for him. He hides. He's able to get away for a bit. But they decide that they are going to try to break in. And so again, these Nigerians run by Obse Sanjo, I think. But regardless, again, he's been storing, and this Nigerian gang presence has been storing and collecting alien weapons. And they also eat alien body parts in hopes to be able to become like them so they can use the weapons. But he goes there. He's quickly found out, the guy recognizes him and knows that he's got this arm. And he's just like, tells his thugs to cut it off. And so he's able to grab an alien weapon and blast a couple of the dudes, and then kind of shimmy his way out with the guns and weapons behind him. And Obse Say Sanjo's like, I'm gonna get you. And so they are able to escape. They go into MNU's headquarters. They blast a couple dudes. They find the black stuff, and while they're doing that, Michael realizes and sees that they're doing medical experiments on a species, and kind of has not a change of heart, but just an awakening as to what's going on. And so they make a bomb. They blast their way out. There is one main, I don't know if I'm protagonist or antagonist, but the main MNU enforcer guy, again, can't recognize from the cast list, but maybe Ross Pinar or Kubus Venter. One of those two, I think, looks like the main, white dude that's trying to catch up and mow these dudes down. And so they escape from him. They go back with the material. They put it into. Well, while this is happening, I think. So they go back. They make it back to District 9. They get the material, and then because Michael had seen the atrocities being committed against the species, he's like, I can't fix you right away. I'll come back in 3 years. To which point, Wickus hits him over the head with like a pole or a rod, knocks him out, and him and Wickus, Aaron Ross's son Prawn, get on the spaceship and fire it up. And because Wickus has his hand, he's able to control it and do stuff as well. And so they fire up this machine, or this spaceship, and they're trying to get it to the mothership that's floating just above them, I don't know, some distance above them, and be able to escape once they can fire up the mothership. So they get on there, and they start flying, and they're immediately hit by a missile, takes out one of the engines, crash lands, and the MNU now has a big shootout with the Nigerian gangsters, both trying to recover Wickus and the baby Prawn. More so Wickus than the baby Prawn, but that's what's going on. And at which point, because Wickus had knocked out Michael, he's now in captivity of the MNU. And so big fight scene. The Nigerians get a hold of Wickus, kill a bunch of the MNU dudes, take him back. Obse Sanjo's like, see, I told you I'd get you. And at which point the baby Prawn is still on the crashed spaceship doing some more configuration and is able to somehow synchronize the alien technology. So once again, Wickus is back with the Nigerians, but they have this big like exoskeleton suit thing, and he's able to take control of it, and it just starts being controlled and kills all of the bad guys. And then Wickus puts his hand up and it detects his arm being alien, so it doesn't shoot him. So now he's able to get into this big exoskeleton suit and busts out and just starts fighting the MNU dudes. Initially he starts running, but then he has the moral dilemma of, in the characterization, he's a human becoming this prawn. This prawn helped him. Is he just going to run away, or is he going to start killing and defending him, the prawns against the humans? So which he does do. He turns around, starts blasting some of the humans, and rescues Michael. And so more big fight scenes. A lot of dudes get blown to pieces, just turned to soup. And they're running. And he basically tells Michael, go be with your son. I'll hold them off for as long as I can, give you some headway, and you can get out of here and do what you want. So that was the major character development, is again just Wickus turning and defending urgently, and again that was really well done, his characterization of trying to go back to human and then making the decision to fight off the humans killing the prawns. And so he turns around and lays waste to more of these MNU dudes, pretty much everybody but the main bad guy, which I think is Kubus Venter. Regardless, his suit ends up being decommissioned or being damaged too much to be functional. And so he kind of falls out of the machine. He's super wounded. Kubus comes up to him ready to execute him, and the prawns jump in and defend Wickus and literally tear Kubus's head off and tear him to pieces. And so that's kind of the big resolution. Again, as the spaceship is rising to the mothership starts moving. There's big celebrations worldwide. And then you get back to the more, again, you start with interview cutscenes, then you go to more of just a first person presentation, and then you kind of finish the movie with cutscenes. There's also a couple in between scenes where Wickus desperately calls his wife, and she's like, I don't want anything to do with you. Actually, again, the first time watching that, I thought that was a pretty good gripping and convincing scene. But regardless, there's one more phone call from the wife where it's I don't know if it's actually the wife setting him up or if it's just voice coverings, but the MNU call him again as his wife to figure out where he is, and that initiates some of these interactions. And so I guess that's probably when they figure out where the spaceships are coming from or whatever. And so, yeah, that's probably right before they break into MNU. But then now, at the very end of the movie, you get some cut scenes. His wife, Tanya, gets this little metal rose that's put at her desk or at her doorstep, and then they show Wickus as a completely transformed into a prawn. He folded up a rose and gave it to his wife. And they show some final cut scenes when Wickus was still a human being, like, I love my wife, she's beautiful, she's an angel, look at her. And so, that's really the resolution to the movie. This one could have been, I also randomly saw this pop up on Reddit, like, there could have been a sequel to this one. I thought this would have been a good movie to sequel, but I don't know if it's too much time has passed or whatever. But again, because they leave off as a complete prawn, or Wickus as a prawn, and then Michael, this prawn, saying he's going to come back in 3 years to fix him. And so there had been a decent, with the same time of grit or of sentiment in the movie, tonality to it. I thought it'd be good, an interesting plot to develop to see if he decides to go back to being a human, or if he decides to be a prawn, or make some sort of development out of that. So I don't think there's any plans to make another one, but just the weaker parts of the movie, the reason that it could have been an A-, but again, just like, why wouldn't the prawns be more aggressive? And then there was one other part that just I forget. But overall, I thought it was very entertaining. Certainly for a sci-fi movie. A lot of people might not like sci-fi, but I do. So I just like anything that has a writing script that might be novel or a little different. And I had seen this one before and remember really liking it or being drawn to it. So I wanted to review it and keep some more content rolling. So thank you for watching, and I will see you on the next one if there is one.